Welcome back, everybody, to another one of my aviation history videos, and we're going to be looking at some museums. It's something I did a little while ago at the Canada Aviation and Space Museum, but this is the special content that I was hinting at in last month's What is on My Desk update. Now, if you follow me on Facebook, and if you don't, there's a link down below in the description, you would have seen a lot of the stuff that I was posting while I was down there. So last week, middle of March, I was in Florida, and I went to a bunch of the museums in the area where I was staying. So this video, which will be the first of 3 videos I'll be doing covering some of that content, is going to be the Valiant Air Command Museum, which is based in Titusville, Florida, kind of on the East Coast over by the Kennedy Space Center. And I hit it up the day I arrived, so I had only just landed in Orlando, got my rental car, and drove out to Titusville to see this museum. So I was trying to get it all done before the museum closed. So unfortunately, it was very hot. It was a little bit windy. A good storm system was blowing in from the west. So I was kind of in a rush to beat the weather and get it done and get out. So apologies for some of the rushed feel to the content. That's just kind of legitimately how it was. Very cool museum, and unfortunately there was a lot of work going on. They were doing it's an active museum. They have some airworthy aircraft that they were actively working on. So there's some areas, the far side of the hangar. You'll see as I'll be using, I got video, but there'll be some pictures and some voiceover explaining some of the stuff, because some of that other side, it was a little hard to film with the work that was going on. Some of the mechanics had some colorful language, and I did not want to have any of that caught in the background. So anyways, really cool museum. Highly recommend going down to visit. So you know what, enough of me blabbling on. Let's jump right into this. We'll take a look at the Valiant Air Command Museum. And as always, my name is Sean, and this is Sean's Aviation. So here I am, everybody, Valiant Air Command Museum. If you can see behind me, there we go. Valiant Air Command Museum, we're out here. Let's go inside. Let's take a look at the really cool airplanes. You can see a couple of them poking around the corner over there. Let's go take a look what they have inside. So here we are inside the museum, and there's an amazing collection in here of artifacts and whatnot. And I think one of the cool ones I'm looking at right here, this is Pearl Harbor. You have the map of it, you know, some artifacts down here, pictures from the attack. Really, really cool little museum out here. I have to say, I'm pretty impressed. 8th Air Force. This is just the little memorabilia room. I haven't got out to the aircraft yet, so I want to finish up in here. You can see that B-24, B-17, really nice B-17 diorama here. So even we have the bomber outfits here. So I'm going to finish up in here, see what I can see, take a few pictures, and then we'll head out to the hangar and take a look at the aircraft. And apologies for the sound. There's a video playing here, but this is really cool. I'm going to swip a camera over here in a second, show this to you. This is a wingtip off of an actual Tuskegee Airman P-40 that crashed during training. And I don't think I've ever seen an actual piece of Tuskegee Airman memorabilia before. So that's really cool. Here we are over in the Vietnam hangar. And again, this is the memorabilia room. Lots of cool stuff. A Mohawk cockpit over there. Just a whole bunch of models and memorabilia and uniforms and stuff. So as usual, I'm gonna take a quick walk around here, take a look at what they have, and we'll head off into the hangar and look at some of the Vietnam jets. Oh, and also there's a P-52 cockpit hiding out there that we can go into. So I'm gonna try to get inside that too. So here we are in the Vietnam hangar. You've got the F-8 Crusader behind me, and there's things like F-4 Phantoms and A-4 Intruders and F-11 Tiger Sharks. And behind here, what I'm here for is this right here. World's only airworthy F-82 twin Mustang. So let's take a look. So here I'm in the outdoor display area, and you'll see over there, there's a Canberra. And we got a C-123 provider. Can't really see it on the other side over there. There's an RU-2 King Air Army aircraft, as well as an FA Crusader. Here we've got a S2 tracker. Looks like they're building a new hangar. Didn't see anything about that anywhere else, but looks like they're building a new hangar to house all of these outdoor aircraft, because there's more F-105, F-101, F-100, Lear, looks like a Lear 23, which you don't see a lot of. Then there's an F-104. That is a very special NASA F-5E, which we'll talk about here very shortly. So let's go over and take a look at that once I take pictures of all of these. So I'm not sure what's going on with these two, the Lear 25 and the F-104, but there's a note right there that says U.S. Marshal, no trespassing. So I'm gonna keep my distance. So behind me here is that F-105, so the F5 I was talking about before, and you look, it looks kind of weird with this big bulgy nose. Now that was actually part, you'll see it kind of written on the side there. You've got NASA and DARPA, which for those who know military know DARPA is really into like way out there future tech that is like 30, 40 years away, you know, levitation and stuff like that, if you listen to the conspiracy theories. This particular aircraft was part of a program. It was called Quiet Spike. So very similar to what Boom Technologies is doing today. They were trying to use this aircraft to break the sound barrier, go faster than the speed of sound without creating an actual sonic boom. So that's this program. This is the actual airframe. As far as I know, only this one was modified. Now that being said, we're a hop, skip, and a jump away from Kennedy Space Center. That's probably why this is here. But this is a really, really cool one-off airplane that I'm very excited to see. So where am I sitting right now? I'm sitting in the bomb aimer navigator area of a B-52 cockpit. Never thought I'd ever be here before. Really? So here we are on the other side of the main hangar, and as I'm sure you can tell, it's hot here. It's 30 degrees and humid, not what I'm used to in, well, middle of March, really. But anyways, we've got a Harvard/Texan. I don't know the provenance of this, whether it's an actual Harvard or an actual North American Texan, but we got one of those. We got Tico Bell, or C-47. I believe this is the aircraft that started this museum back in the 70s. And then on the other side, you can't really see, there's an F-14, there's an F-16, and I don't know what that is, an L-4 and an L-5. Well, it's a sign. It's an L-4 Sentinel. And then over here, we have a Blue Angels F-18. So again, quite a collection here. So as I mentioned, the other side of the main hangar, they had some active work happening on one of the airworthy aircraft, and so those mechanics were talking and joking and using a bit of language I didn't want to get captured on video. So unfortunately, I'm just going to do this side with a voiceover. So right off the bat is this beautiful U.S. Navy MH-53. This was a recent acquisition for the museum. It flew in just a few months ago. It still has the pans underneath of it because the aircraft is still leaking some of the fluids. That's slowly coming out of it, but yeah, it's fully complete in the back. There's all of the anti-mining equipment still installed, so really cool to see that as part of the museum, just being such a recent acquisition. Next up is a Grumman Panther, a bit of a a Korean War era U.S. Navy jet. Now again, my camera a bit blown out over here. I had set up for the darker hangars, and this had the main doors open, so exposure might be a little off on some of these pictures. I do apologize for that. But yeah, Grumman Panther, they do have quite a few aircraft on loan from the U.S. Navy Museum in Pensacola, so this is one of them. And then next up, you have a Dauntless. This is a static-only version. This is also coming from on loan from the U.S. Navy Museum in Pensacola. Interestingly, here you see on the leading edge, there's a section of where the roundel is of original skin that was left on the aircraft during its restoration. And next up here is the Grumman F4F Wildcat, again on loan from the U.S. Navy Museum in Pensacola. I believe this is one of the ones that came out of Lake Michigan and got restored. So again, pretty cool to see that. Again, static only. Next up is this. It's an ME-208, kind of a late war German personal aircraft. This particular one was built by Nord in France. A lot of these aircraft got subcontracted to other countries, and when the war ended and Germany kind of fell, all of these other companies that were building these under contract in different countries continued. So Nord in France continued to build these. You had Pfizer Storks continue to be built post-war. CASA in Spain continued to build the Me-109s, the Bouchons. So you had all of these aircraft that continued to be built in the post-war year. Czechoslovakia was building these things. So a lot of this stuff continued on in the post-war years. So that's what this is. It's a French-built post-war version of the ME-208. Here you got a Piper Cub, simple L-bird. Every museum tends to have one of those in the US. And then the Beech 18, that is an airworthy aircraft. Nothing flew while I was there, but that one is fully airworthy. And then this is their B-25. This is the one that had the work done. If you notice in the front, there's a bit of a hole in the front nose. It had a bit of a hanger rash incident, so they're in the midst of fixing that nose and trying to get it back into fully airworthy condition. This B-25 I've never seen before. Killer B, I believe it was at Michigan during their gathering of B-25s, but that was one of the years of COVID that I was unable to travel to the US. So this is a new airframe for me. And then there's a MiG-21 here outside, Czechoslovakian airframe pushed off into the weeds. I believe it's in the pipeline to get restored. But I did manage to snap a picture of it. A T-33 painted up in kind of like a US Thunderbirds-esque scheme, which is interesting because the other side is all marked up as the Navy. So I don't know the history or the provenance of that paint scheme, but that's that. You also got a T-34C, the turbine version of the T-34 Mentor. So I believe that's a relatively new arrival to the museum as well. We've also got a Buckeye, North American T-2 Buckeye, U.S. Navy trainer. As I mentioned, a lot of naval aircraft being so close to Pensacola. And over here you've got a Sikorsky. I think it's an S-55. It has a civil registration on it. I do not know if that's fully airworthy or not, but it is pretty cool to have that. It looks like it's set up for tours. They got these big giant windows down the side. So I believe it's one of the ones that was used for like tours in the Grand Canyon and stuff like that. But anyways, interesting to see that as well. Here we've got that B-52 cockpit I talked about. It's got a screen door. I don't know if you can make it out in the back, but you can actually go in and sit in there, which you saw the video a little while ago of me sitting in the navigator section. I did get up in the cockpit of this. Unfortunately, there was somebody up there who was an old military training pilot. So he was kind of in the cockpit and pilot seat and getting the full thing, whereas I didn't want to interrupt and the storm was coming in. So I wanted to kind of get back to my rental and get across the state to my hotel before the big storm hit. And didn't quite hit everything I wanted to hit at that museum, but it was still very interesting. And finally, there's this section of UH-1H. I'll have to do some research into what airframe that is. I didn't see any markings on it, but again, it was set up for like kids and stuff to get into. There's a little set of steps you could climb up and sit in the cockpit and stuff like that. So just, some hands-on experience for some of the kids. So that basically wraps up this museum. Again, highly recommend coming out to here. Some really interesting airframes for those who are in the area. And stay tuned. I do have some more of my Florida trip videos coming out. So I'm going to wrap it up here. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you all next time.